I can't get invested in a franchise that the developers themselves aren't even invested in creatively, only to make money. This may be the last Assassin's Creed I buy until they get their shit together. God knows how long this lasts. I'm already not buying Assassin's Creed Shadows because of a promise I made, one I intend to keep.
Are you sure about that?
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
Don't think I've any intention of caressing your cheek and saying I was wrong. I will not weep and wonder what might have been. I'm sure you understand.
Okay, so I stand before you a man who has gone back on his word. I know I said I wasn't going to do it. I said I wasn't going to play another Assassin's Creed until they got their act together, and here we are. Don't worry, I'll be taking my lashings like a man. You don't have to worry about that. However, when I made that statement, I was under the assumption that this was just going to be another Assassin's Creed game. What I wasn't anticipating was that Assassin's Creed Shadows would be the game that determines the fate of Ubisoft. The success of this game would determine whether or not Ubisoft would be taken over by Tencent. And you know, for a company with such a rich history and a franchise that has built me into the gamer that I am today, if this is going to be Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed's last stand, then damn it, I want to be here for it. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. Kinda. It's complicated.
Oh, and maybe I'll check on my wife. Oh, maybe not. Oh, she's going to kill me. And I have you to thank for that.
But honestly, that, along with all the controversies they kept stepping in, none of that mattered to me. The only thing I cared about was whether or not AC Shadows was gonna be a good game. And after playing through it, God damn it. I'm not mad at AC Shadows, I'm just disappointed. Because out of all the RPG Assassin's Creeds, this does feel the most like the games of old, especially towards the end. But those are droplets in the pond of soullessness that is this game. And that's honestly the best word I can use to describe this game. Soulless. I know, shocker, a Ubisoft game feeling soulless and the grass is green and something you guys don't touch. It feels like a game that was made because it was on a project timeline. We're not actually motivated to make this anymore. There's some cool ideas with the stealth system and how the story is handled, which we'll get into, but for the most part, this is just more of the same AC slop that we have been getting for years now. And it pains me to say this because I desperately want to see Assassin's Creed return to form. No matter what anyone tells you, this is not a return to form. You may have fun playing it, but Assassin's Creed used to be much better than this. And I was hoping that this would be that, especially with the Japan setting, but it's not. So, why is that the case? Why does AC Shadows feel soulless, and how is it not the return to form that I personally wanted? Well, let's go break down the door to Grandma's house. So strap in, boys and girls, and let's get down to business. Assassin's Creed Shadows takes place in the late 16th century feudal Japan during the Azuchi Momoyama period. Fuck! You are in control of two main characters, Naoe, a Japanese shinobi, and Yasuke, an African samurai and retainer of Oda Nobunaga. And after two tragic events that both characters experience, they take up their blades and hunt down the mysterious force that is pulling the strings of this entire conflict. So these characters are supposed to embody the different playstyles. Naoe is who you want for stealth, and Yasuke is who you want for combat. Naoe, to start off with, feels great to play with. She has access to the entire toolkit that you'd come to, expect from Assassin's Creed. She can parkour, free run over obstacles, obviously stealth, and the stealth in this game adds some new mechanics like proning.
Really?
We got a lighting and shadow system where, depending on where you are, your visibility will be lower or higher, so enemies may not see you as much even if you're close to them. And this can be helped out by knocking out lanterns or extinguishing lights, which I think's pretty cool. The grappling hook from Syndicate is back, and let me tell you, stealth in this game is still satisfying, but not perfect. Let's be honest, it's pretty easy. Like, dude, how do you not see me right now? Just take out somebody in front of their other guys and they're still not convinced something is wrong? And, sometimes it just doesn't work.
That guard keeps his...
What the fuck?
They got the Joshi assassination in this game, like you assassinate through doors from Ghost of Tsushima, but nobody is ever close enough to the door to do it? So that's a waste of a mechanic. Even though that's the case, it still feels great to assassinate somebody with the hidden blade. And the kill animations are pretty cool. Don't know if that's the first thing you try to do, but it's cool. Like, stealth in Assassin's Creed will never not feel great to me. And the fact that there's a lot more emphasis on this than in the rest of the RPG creeds is something that desperately needed to happen. And you know damn well I'm turning on one-hit assassination. None of this take only a chunk bullshit. You stick your knife in somebody's jugular in a video game, they're going down. On top of this, Naoe can also use all the basic stealth tools like smoke bombs, throwing knives or kunai, bells that attract enemies to a certain spot, though it is criminal that there's no blow dart in this game. And would you believe it? Eagle Vision is back? Dude, I always thought the bird was fucking dumb. It made no sense whatsoever. So we are back to good old faded screen enemy tagging, which feels so good to have again. So that is how gameplay is with Naoe. It feels great for the most part. Yasuke, on the other hand,
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
this guy is in the wrong game. I'm sure you've heard that a bunch of times before, and no, it's not because of his race or any dumb shit like that, but Yasuke's sole purpose is combat, because Naoe in combat feels like you're fighting with a rubber ducky, which is fine, that's the balance, but Yasuke is who you call on to cut down everyone in your path, and that's all he gets. He can't free run, he can barely parkour, his stealth is ass, which it's supposed to be, his leap of faith,
Too many haystacks around here anyway.
the only thing that Yasuke gets besides combat is he can bust through doors like the Juggernaut. He's got brutal assassination, which lets everyone know you're there. Like, his character toolkit is the opposite of what you play Assassin's Creed for. But how is his combat? Well, at first it feels great. The animations are brutal, got some decapitations, and literal fatalities.
Jesus Christ!
Like, damn, dude, they didn't hold back on this. This makes Mirage look like a kindergarten school project. At least until the slashing sound starts cutting out. But as you continue through the game, aside from some new abilities you get, combat never really changes. You want to hear what your controller's gonna sound like? That's it. That's all you do. There's no strategy, just hack until they're dead. It is literal turn your brain off combat. Yasuke is so strong that anyone who's guarding just gets their guard broken anyway, and then you just keep hitting them like nothing happened. And if you got a bigger enemy, just charge a heavy, boom, continue. At least the Spartan kick's still badass. What's even worse is that because Yasuke is so limited in what he can do, you're discouraged from ever using him out in the world. Because if you happen to come across a viewpoint or an activity that requires you to climb something, he cannot do it. So what's the point of roaming the world with him if I know I'm gonna have to switch back to Naoe most of the time to do the things that Assassin's Creed was built on? But you know, it's not like I never wanted to use Yasuke. There were times where I was sneaking around for a long time, and then I just wanted to turn my brain off, explode, and fuck everybody up in the castle. Or, you know, just go crazy. Unstoppable object. And it's good for that. Like, if I bring this man to a castle, everybody's getting wiped out. Like, there's nobody left standing. But that's the problem. I have to turn my brain off to fully enjoy it. And if Naoe can still complete those castles while also being able to climb up anything, utilize all the tools at your disposal, and actually stealth around, which is what Assassin's Creed was built on, where exactly does Yasuke come into the picture here? When you get tired of playing Assassin's Creed? I don't think Ubisoft gave enough reasons to use Yasuke. And for someone like me, who thinks the more combat-oriented design has almost killed Assassin's Creed for me, why wouldn't I use the character that makes it feel like the good old days? So if you had to bet what I'm gonna say about a Ubisoft open world, you probably think I'd say, the world looks beautiful, it feels alive, but there's nothing good to do in it. Congratulations, you just made 500 bucks. The world of Japan in this game looks and feels great. This is nothing new from any Ubisoft game you've ever played. These guys know what they're doing. The people making the stuff you do in them they still suck at their jobs. First off, to everyone who says there's less bloat, they're right from a content standpoint, but this map is still massive. There is no reason for it to be this big and have this many regions. What's worse is none of the regions feel unique from one another at all. Like, if you asked me to describe the difference between Yamato and Hariba, the level counter? I get it. You want to be as realistic as you can, and I'm sure this is exactly how Japan was like at this point. I'm sure it did all look the same, but this is a video game. If you want to have a map this big, you gotta make each area feel unique, besides a basic level cap. Now, in terms of content, I've heard people praise this game because there's not 50,000 markers on the map like Valhalla had. But why are we giving credit for something not being one of the worst open world designs I think I've ever seen? That should be a baseline feature. Am I nuts here? And when you sync with a viewpoint, it doesn't reveal what all the markers are. You still need to find out what it is, which is better. But what matters is not the amount of content, but the quality of the content. The quality of the content in AC Shadows is once again bad. These are not activities. These are chores. You have shrines, temples, obstacle courses, katas, horse archery, and kujikiris. Shrines make you have to find 3 specific ones to pray at. The obstacle courses have chests at the end with loot. By the way, these were ripped straight from Ghost of Tsushima. Temples just have you looking for a certain amount of scrolls in the area. The kata and horse archery are pretty cool though. I'd say those 2 are the best. The kujikiri sucks.
Fucking thing sucks!
This might be the most monotonous rhythm activity I've ever played in a video game. Yeah, it looks cool, but slowly hitting the same buttons over and over again is not fun. It's not fun at all. It's tedious. Oh, and by the way, all of these activities, these are side activities you have to do, because they're tied to how much of the skill tree is open to you. Thank you, knowledge points. I always wanted to be bored while getting stronger. Aside from all this, you have enemy camps and castles. Camps just have you picking up any crafting materials or resources that are in there, nothing else. And castles are your typical outposts that you clear out. Every one of these castles has the exact same objective. Kill the Daisho Samurai, loot the chest. Every single one. I definitely saw this coming. To be fair, it's not like you had another point of reference to take inspiration from when designing the objectives for the castle, so, I can understand not being varied and intricate, I guess.
I was right there!
Ghost of Tsushima literally wrote the blueprint for this 5 years ago. Every outpost and castle has you doing different types of objectives. Sometimes you need to kill generals, sometimes you had to steal banners, free prisoners, animals, like they changed up what you did so it wouldn't get stale. Here it just makes every castle feel the exact same. The layout is already similar. That doesn't help things. It's just more of the same from this company. I cannot understand how this is still the way you are doing things after all of these years, and after somebody did that same thing but better. It's like they're not even trying. A few more things about the world. One thing I actually really appreciate is the fact that most of the time when you have an objective for a quest, it no longer gives you the exact marker. It gives you clues on where you're supposed to go and makes you actually deduce the location. I'm not gonna lie, I kinda like this. It's a breath of fresh air from marker heaven. I like things that make me think. However, that is kinda undercut by the button known as L2. Observe. Observe will be your friend, but also the game's worst enemy. If you press this button, if you observe, you see glowing dots in front of you that show you certain things, like resources or your objective. Once you get to the actual search area for your objective, all you need to do is observe and look for the blue dot. So it's like, you want me to find it for myself, but you're also showing me where it is. Now, on one hand, you need to be in the search area before you start seeing it, so it's not the end of the world, but once you get there, the search is essentially over because you can just tap the button and just find it. Not to mention, if you want to make the searching easier, you can just use a scout to narrow the search area. This also ruins the temples and the shrine activities because you're supposed to search for shrines and scrolls, but all it comes down to is holding L2 and walking around a bit until you see the white dot. You're not even combing the place over or putting any real work in. But ZD, you don't need to use L2, you could just find it yourself. Yeah, you can, theoretically, but when you play, you can clearly tell this game was designed with the investigate button in mind, because not using it leaves you running around like an idiot wondering, where's this tiny ass scroll?
Come on, I swear, just hang in there 1 second.
Please, God, Give me the answer!
Also, why would I not utilize a game mechanic if it's in the game? They clearly want you to use it. They put it in the game. Stop being silly. Also, another thing, like I said, for objectives, you do get clues, but how the hell do you know this? These are never actually told to you. Like, listen to this interaction.
A samurai favored by Lord Nobunaga near Honoji is known to hold such documents. Find him and retrieve them.
And then these are the clues you get. Where the hell? None of that was mentioned here. Why don't you have them actually say it so it feels more natural? Is the game telling me this? Well, that's pretty immersion breaking. Speaking of natural, you know this game's got a season system? Yeah, periodically the seasons will change and supposedly it changes the world in different ways. This was one of the key new features marketed in the game. Spoiler alert, it means jack shit. Like I said earlier, I played through the game naturally. I didn't go out searching for anything that I heard about online or anything like that. The only thing I got out of the changing seasons was that when it snows, running off the path slows you down a bit. Supposedly with each season change, things like certain grass is going to be taller or shorter. Didn't notice that because I wasn't in any place more than once. So I thought, okay, winter has to bring the most change to gameplay. So let's see what else is here besides snow slowing you down. It's mostly just aesthetic. Apparently there's icicles that you can manipulate, but I swear to you, I never saw any throughout my whole playthrough. I'm not denying they're there. I just never had a situation where it was a factor. Well, what about water? All right, not seeing any water frozen over or anything like that. Well, maybe if I dive in, I'll start to freeze. Nope, same water. So what's the point of this again? How are you going to promote changing seasons as a key feature of your game, but it doesn't change anything about how you actually play? An average player is not going to know that the grass you laid prone in back in that castle is now tall grass where you could just crouch in. Nobody is going back to that castle once you've cleared it. I'm sorry I don't have more footage of this stuff I'm describing, but that should tell you all you need to know. One more thing before we move on. I don't feel like I need to mention this because it really doesn't matter, but Tomoko's 30 FPS hideout. No, I'm not just talking out of my ass. I played on Series X, and literally every time you go back there, the frame rate drops to 30 FPS. Doesn't matter if you're playing on performance, it still drops. How the fuck were you guys okay with this? Oh, now you're gonna fix it?
Good, great, grand, wonderful.
Aside from that, this is supposed to be a hub world of sorts that you can upgrade and customize and make your own little Monteregione. I barely used it. There's almost no reason to use it. Yeah, you can upgrade some weapons more, but what's the point if you're gonna find another weapon out in the world that's stronger in like 5 minutes? The only reason I wanted to use it was to clear my wanted status because you either do that there or you wait for the season to change. The problem is that ore is a bitch to find, at least for me. Guarantee you that Animus store is to blame for this. But yeah, that's the world of AC Shadows. Nothing special at all. But you know what makes me the most disappointed? Is that during this game, I caught glimpses of the AC of old. And that came from the story. Alright, it's time for a story time with ZD Boy, baby. But before that, I just gotta ask something. Who the hell at Ubisoft was in charge of the voice acting?
It's good to see some people still listen to their patas.
Nagato has his secrets and I look the other way. It's best for us both.
And stay out of Iga!
What the hell is that?
This might be the worst voice acting in any Ubisoft game I've ever seen. Some of this legit sounds like AI. Like, what the fuck?
No, this is a bad cat. Mother only likes cats who follow the rules.
Ha ha ha! You tried to match my style and failed.
You know, last year I played Rise of the Ronin and Stellar Blade, and both those games had real bad voice acting. But in those cases, Team Ninja is not that big, and the other was Shift Up's first real big AAA game. Ubisoft is one of the biggest video game companies in the world. You have no excuse to have delivery this bad. It feels like somebody's about to have a system malfunction or some shit. And yes, I'm blaming the direction. The main actors, I'm sure, are just doing the best they can with what they're given. But the one who gets the short end of the stick here, unfortunately, is Naoe. I feel so bad for this voice actress because this performance is bad. Like, it's real bad.
Not at all. It is just a rapidly changing world. I am Naoe. I didn't expect Yasuke and me to be granted a social call from Lord Kuroda Kanbei. What will it be today, Auntie Matsu? Weeding the turnips? Scrubbing your iron pots? I'll find out just over the hill.
It's worse because this is one of the main protagonists of this game, and you have to hear her for the entire game. If I was talking to somebody in real life and they sounded like this, I'd be like, bro, are you okay? It's a shame because on the other side, Yasuke's performance is actually pretty good. This is frankly unacceptable, and I 100% blame the direction. But you know what else is unacceptable? Ubisoft cutscenes. I swear, how are we still making cutscenes that look worse than what we did a decade ago? The movements still look like puppets from Lies of P. Oh no, Naoe's Ergo's whispering. The facial animations are still stiff. Don't give me this RPG conversations are always stiff in games argument. No, they're not. This is a Ubisoft thing. Their animations department cannot get their head out of their ass. Like, look at this, and then go back to Unity. Fully motion captured. Look how clean this looks. It looks actually real? Like, who would have thought? I can't tell whether you're just lazy, not talented, or if this is an engine problem. Either way, something has to change immediately. DEFCON 1 should have already been blaring a long time ago. But I guess you were too busy plagiarizing One Piece to notice anything. But alright, now we get to the story. And as always, if you don't want to know, here's the timestamp. Alright, let's roll. You know, this might be where I'm most disappointed, because like I said earlier, the glimpses of Assassin's Creed of old came from the story and certain parts of the structure. But again, Ubisoft being Ubisoft doesn't know how to fully realize those ideas anymore. Let's start with the two protagonists, Naoe and Yasuke. For the majority of the game, these guys are not really given anything to make them interesting. They have their respective setups, and then once that happens, the rest of the game is just them doing things. Like, no character building is done here. Just, here's the next target, here's what we're gonna do, let's go do it. They try to build them up with their personal quest lines, but they're just boring. Yasuke is that generic underdog story about how he went from slave to samurai, and Naoe's is just flashbacks to life in her village before it was destroyed and how she became a shinobi. And not a single part of it was interesting. Like, when I came across Akuji Kiri, I genuinely groaned when I remembered I still have to do this. It also doesn't help that there's absolutely no chemistry between these two. I never felt anything when they talk to each other. They don't feel like friends or even comrades. They feel like two co-workers from different departments that just happen to run into each other on a random Saturday at ShopRite or something. Yeah, the writing doesn't do anything to make them feel close. Matter of fact, with good writing, they shouldn't even be friends. Yasuke was essentially Nobunaga's right-hand man that helped him burn Naoe's village to the ground and kill her people. And Naoe was in the betrayal of Nobunaga and almost killed him. In theory, these two should hate each other. But then they're just like, shit happens. Now we need to work together to save the world from the true evil. What? What the fuck? No, this shouldn't be a healthy relationship. They should be working together only because they have to. They should be shit-talking to each other before each mission starts or something like that. And then from there, you could build and develop their relationship and have them start liking each other. This is the easiest setup you can think of. But oh, I forgot, Ubisoft's writing team is made up entirely of first graders.
Was a girl who...
Today, Junior?
Can't even think of reasons for how one character just shows up out of nowhere when I'm in the middle of a mission. Where the hell did you come from, Yasuke? Or when a character disappears randomly when they should be in the area. Where the hell you go, Yasuke? Oh, Oichi wants to go to the Isle of Cats? Well, this should be a fun journey. Wait, where'd you go?
Can you stand watch here?
I will meet you at the meeting area when you are finished.
Motherfucker, I told you to keep watch here.
You will kneel and let me plunge my blade in your neck.
You have a hammer! Okay, now I'm just venting. If you couldn't catch my drift, the writing and the dialogue in this game are not good. Also, Ubisoft, can we just ditch the RPG conversations? If your dialogue choices aren't gonna mean jack shit, then just get rid of it. I chose to spare a guy and his captor ended up killing him anyway, so what's the hell's the point? So, it's bad. But then... what is that? A light?
You'll have to kill them all. Do you understand? Not just those that wear masks, but the people that surround them. The power that commands them.
You never will. Oh, power! Yes!
We are back to the hunt in this game. The second game in a row now. And let me tell you, the Shin Bakufu, much better. The Order of the Ancients is a piece of shit that should be buried and forgotten. They were just masked Illuminati people that were not interesting in any way, shape, or form. The Shinbaku also have masks, but they're different, have cooler designs, and they all look unique from one another. There's samurai, an archer, normal looking people. This is one diverse looking group of baddies. They show up and kill Naoe's father. There you go. There's your motivation. And everyone has their own quest line in the story, and rather than some random guy you've never seen before until right before you kill him, there's a group of characters in that quest line that are built up, so when you find the one who is the Shinbaku, it's more impactful because you've seen them already and they've been established. This might not sound like a lot, and maybe it's just me that appreciates this, but this actually got me invested into the chase, and I haven't felt that since Syndicate. But it's still not there yet. Even though you see them, they look unique and have their own characters, they are still not as good as the Templars. A major part of that is, aside from that intro scene where all of them show up for some reason, we never see them interact with each other ever again. Each member is isolated within their own quest line, and each have their own stories completely independent from the other ones, because Ubisoft thinks you're gonna do the level 32 quest before the level 26 for some reason. So we can't have any unique interactions with Shinbaku members to make them actually feel like they're a real group that's much bigger and organized than yourself. You know, emphasizing the threat level. At least have the Grand Master keep showing up. He's supposed to be the big bad guy. I mean, think of all the other Grand Masters in the old games. Rodrigo, Cesare, Hatham, Torres, Achilles, Germain, the cartoon boy himself, Crawford Starrick. We see them throughout the game to remind us that they are the ultimate goal, the ultimate target that will solve this entire conflict. Here you see the leader in this reveal scene and don't see him again until almost the very end of the game, so he doesn't feel dangerous at all, just the last guy we need to kill. Also, why did you all show up randomly? Was this a meeting spot or something? Hey buddy, why do you have your clan crest on your armor? You don't think somebody's gonna figure out which one that is? Do you not care? What's the point of wearing the mask then? But alright, if they're gonna be isolated, their quest lines are at least good, right?
Were it so easy.
There are 11 main quest lines with the Shinbaku, and out of those 11, only 2 of them are good and feel memorable. Here's how they all play out. Go find the initial marker, get an overview of what's happening, get 2 to 4 random fetch quests, and then the final showdown. For God's sake, it feels like I'm just clearing out a chore list rather than a cohesive plot line. But like I said, there are 2 that are good. The Ox and the Mourner. The Ox is revealed early on to be Besho Harumasa, a man whose clan was wiped out by Nobunaga and now has a devoted group of followers that are plotting rebellion against the nobles of the region. And his words actually speak to them since they feel they've been cast aside, which makes this situation more complex in a way. And even though there's no standout moments, the fact that you get a target immediately and have him built up the entire time as this massive threat with a cause that you can kind of understand is something that hasn't really been a focal point for this franchise in quite some time. The Mourner is a so-so questline until the end. You've been working with Nobunaga's sister, Oichi, who Yasuke has a history with, and you're trying to find out who's been stealing stuff from the poor. But in the end, you find out that the Mourner is in fact Oichi, who supposedly has stopped coordinating all the stealing and is now trying to right her wrongs. And this creates a dilemma, specifically for Yasuke, because she was one of the only people who was kind to him when he was first taken in by Nobunaga. But Naoe is like, F that shit, she needs to die. Do I need to remind you she conspired to kill my father? Dare I say it? I love this. And with better writers, depending on what decision you made, it could have affected how the other companion views you. But as we established, that doesn't happen. But then we get to the end, when all the Shinbaku are dead. That is when Naoe and Yasuke start being the central focus of the plot and having their characters fleshed out finally, because we're not done yet. Let me just say, if this is what the entire game was like, I would feel so much different about it. Naoe learns that her order is actually the remnant of the assassins, and that her mother was sort of the mentor of the group. And Yasuke, it turns out Yasuke was enslaved by a little known group called the Templars. Oh my God! Praise the Lord, we are not allergic to those names anymore. The rest of the game centers around the assassins and Templars, and they even reference brotherhood.
The House of Borgia was one of them. Prominent noble family.
What happened to them?
Eradicated mysteriously. They say a secret organization put an end to their conspiracies, but not much is known.
And would you believe it? The writers here actually get good? We finally get a badass Yasuke line?
Upon his order, these men will attack without hesitation.
Should they do so in my presence, it would be an unfortunate mistake.
The Templars you hunt are actually built up well, and you know who they are from the get-go? What in God's name is happening? Is this still Ubisoft? These first graders just graduated to high school.
They passed the 3rd grade. Oh, what a glorious day.
After playing this, I now believe that every single Assassin's Creed game going forward should have a linear story. That isolated RPG mission structure does the writers no favors, and it takes away from the character building we can be doing. I would instantly be made a fan again if the stories were as good as how they are in these last few hours, and that is what makes me the most disappointed. That it took until the game was pretty much finished before it actually got good. Assassin's Creed Shadows is a game that by the end leaves you on a high, but then you remember all the slop you had to trudge through to get here, and you're brought back down. I'm not mad at this game because I see glimpses of the franchise moving in the right direction, but that's the thing. I didn't want a step in the right direction. I wanted to be back. This game isn't bad. It's a little better than okay. But again, as I've said in the past, how many times are we gonna say that about a Ubisoft game? If you can't do any better than okay on your big budget open world games, I hate to break the news to you, but you're not good developers. There are too many great games coming out right now for you to be turning stuff out like this. And for everybody out there who wants to praise this game and give it a high score, I ask you to remember what these guys used to do, especially with Assassin's Creed, and then compare it to this. Forget the culture war, forget the financial implications. Do you want better games from Ubisoft? If so, then stop accepting slop. But it looks like the game did seemingly have a successful launch though. Then again, that player count doesn't mean anything. If everybody's playing on Ubisoft Plus for $18 and then canceling, you're not exactly making a profit here. And why wouldn't you do that? It's literal highway robbery. I don't know why Ubisoft does this. Look, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if this separate entity they created that's 25% owned by Tencent makes any difference. It looks like the main people are still in charge, but who knows how things go from here. I just want Assassin's Creed to be great again. But I'm just upset that it took me away from playing with my good friend, Kazan. But that's a story for next time. For now, there is no return to form yet, because Assassin's Creed Shadows is unfortunately a 6.5 out of 10.